90% of hotel business or failure.
There's this saying in the restaurant industry, all the restaurants that open up in a year, 80% close in 1 year.
These MNCs and multinational food chains, but I think they follow this strategy of adding local flavors to their food, isn't it?
You go to a McDonald's in Amsterdam, you won't find veggie burger. But if you came to India, you cannot imagine opening a store in India without having something vegetarian in it. So they would make subtle changes like that at a country level.
Parampara, I see most of the time it's always full, and on weekends the people have to wait on the lines to get the food, and there have been a lot of discussion about the best vegetarian food in the city.
I was told you're stupid to start a vegetarian restaurant. You're stupid enough to start it in Telangana, they said. Google survey shows 99% of people in Telangana are meat eaters, If nobody is getting into it, it's a good chance, good place for me to get into it.
All we need to try to find is a best cook, that's it. Everything is done. So you think some Indian food brand, so that can make like an international brand?
If you can run your restaurants in India, you can run your restaurants anywhere in the world.
Hi, hello, welcome to another exciting episode of the Businessman podcast. There is a recent study that 90% of people ఏదో ఒక లైఫ్ టైంలో ఏదో ఒక టైంలో ఫుడ్ బిజినెస్లోకి ఎంటర్ అవ్వాలనుకుంటారంట. అండ్ యు నో వాట్, ఫుడ్ బిజినెస్ ఈస్ ద మోస్ట్ అన్స్టేబుల్ business and 90% chances of failure, and this is also again a study. So now here today with me I have a businessman who is a hotelier who is into food business. Let us decode what are the things that's running around food business after COVID. What are the situations of food business, and aslo food business loki enter అవ్వాలంటే అంత ఈజీనా? ఇట్స్ ఎ ఫ్యాన్సీ. యాక్చువల్గా మన అందరం అనుకుంటాం చాలా ఈజీగా స్టార్ట్ చేయొచ్చు, బికాస్ రేపు కావాలంటే హోటల్ స్టార్ట్ చేయొచ్చు అన్నట్టు. సో that's why we all made it we think that it's a very fancy business. Is it true? Yeah, I have with me the founder of Parampara Hotels, Hitesh Bang. So let's try to decode the hotel business. Hello Hitesh.
Hello,
welcome
ma'am.
to
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming, and welcome to the Businessman podcast.
Thank you.
సో నేను ఇందాక చెప్పా, సో తనకి తెలుగు రాదు, సో మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద కాన్వర్సేషన్ ఇస్ గోన్ బి ఇంగ్లీష్. సో యా, లెట్స్ స్టార్ట్. సో హితేష్, సో as I said, there is a study that 90% of hotel business are failure. What do you think the basic reason for that?
So I think not just 90%. So I'll give you some figures. So there's this saying in the restaurant industry that all the restaurants that open up in a year, 80% close in 1 year. Out of the remaining 20%, 90% close at the end of 3 years. And out of the remaining 10% of that 20%, only 5% of those restaurants pass the 5-year mark.
Okay.
Right? So it is, far more a riskier a trade than, even for that matter, trading. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's majorly because the restaurant industry in its outset, while we come out very glamorous and everybody's like, this is easy, this if you look at a restaurant, they're getting so many customers, you do the math, and then you're like, this particular restaurant or individual is making this much in a day, this much is a profit.
We think that all we need to try to find is a best cook, that's it.
Yes,
everything is done.
Yes. But unfortunately it's not that way, because see, most people visit restaurants on weekends and holidays. And they 8 to 10 in a month, right? But your month is 30 days.
Yeah.
So you want to understand a profitable restaurant, visit them on a Monday. Right? Visit them on a Tuesday, because that's where the majority of the business has to be done. How much are you going to earn on a weekend? Only as per your capacity.
Yes.
Only depending on how many restaurants you have within the vicinity. Because if you have a lot of restaurants within the vicinity, why are people going to wait to eat at your restaurant?
Yes.
Because how much is your lunch time? 3 hours.
Yes.
How much is your dinner time? 3 hours.
Yeah.
Your total actual business time is supposedly 6 hours. How much are you going to earn in one single day within those 6 hours? It can't be equal to your week.
Yes.
Right? So that's where the glamour is coming up, because the people are seeing it just on those busy days. Then seems like I know it all kind of a business. Most people think if I like something, everybody should like something.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not how it works.
That's
Our
not
taste
how it
buds are
works.
different. You
Yes.
have to think of a dish in a way which can be liked by 90% of the people, 95%. It still is not going to be 100%. Right? Somebody might just have a BP issue. They might feel you've put in extra salt.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So you'll have to change your understanding to understand how difficult a restaurant business setup can be. And then there are costs.
Yes.
So say you had a cloth store, you would take the inventory, store the inventory, sell the inventory in one day, even if you're not making sales every day.
Okay.
That inventory stays with you. That inventory is not going to rot away, at least for the 6 months.
Exactly.
Now say you have a restaurant, you have an inventory,
Yeah.
you prepared something in the
It ends
morning.
at the day.
Yes, so there's a lot of wastage cost.
Yeah.
There's a lot, the moment you open the doors, there's a fixed cost that is associated,
Yes.
which is higher than most other businesses.
Most of the businesses.
Which is never taken into account. And that's why the losses in the restaurant industry, when they occur, are humongous. We don't go through small loss period of say 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs.
No, it's
No.
nowadays it's not the way.
The restaurant industry has multifold losses
Yes.
when they hit losses.
Yes.
Because a typical restaurant would need about 1 lakh per day as soon as they open their doors. A good restaurant I'm
Yes,
talking
yes.
about.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's 30 lakhs a month to keep it running.
Exactly.
Then comes the profit.
Yes.
Right? So you'll have to think of it that way. You'll have to think of it from a restaurant, the location standpoint, the rents, the ACs, the salaries. When you club all of it, when you club the manpower dependency, then people might
The
view it a
person
little
who
different.
is trying to come and do the backward math when he's in the restaurant might not be calculating all these things.
Yeah, they're looking at that one day where all tables are full and how much have they ordered on their table.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the calculations are done by I've spent 4,000 here.
Yes.
So everybody here has spent 4,000.
4,000.
That's not how it works, right?
Yeah, true,
So
true. Yeah.
that's where that mindset shift has to come. And that's where people get attracted towards restaurants as well.
Yes.
Again, this industry has not become challenging just now. It's been challenging for the last 70, 80 years.
It's been
Yet,
worse like last 2-3 years.
last 2 years have been very
Worst.
difficult,
Yeah,
but over the last 70, 80 years or in any period during any recession, during any boom, this has been a challenging industry to survive in. Yet this has been the most sought after industry as
True.
well.
Exactly.
This has been the most dreamt of industry to be in as well.
Yes.
Right? Film stars have had restaurant, cricketers have had restaurant, politicians have had restaurant, local laymen have had restaurants.
Yes.
Everybody wants to have a restaurant, but there's a certain glamour associated with
Yes.
it.
And again, so coming to the taste, when you are mentioning about the taste, if it's a metropolitan city and you have the good bunch of different kinds of people, and how you sort out the taste of that particular place? Is it based on the work or the density of population that depends on? How usually it works?
So, as per me, the taste would depend on the dish, not the people.
Okay.
Okay? The authentic biryani is the Hyderabadi dum biryani, no matter what anybody says anywhere.
Okay.
So even if I had a restaurant in Calcutta, my biryani needs to taste as it would taste in Hyderabad.
Okay.
And because that is how biryani is supposed to be, the math would be 80% of the people would like it.
Okay.
If you go to the west of India, if you go to the Gujarat belt, where you would have a little bit of sweetness in the food.
Yes.
Now, if I decide to go to Gujarat, open a restaurant there, make biryani and add a little good to it because people of the Gujarat eat
Yeah.
a little
Little
sweetness
sweetie,
in
yeah.
their food, I'd be stupid.
Okay.
Right? It's not about the place, it's about the dish.
Yeah.
Right? A malai kofta has to have certain flavors. General filling would be, it is going to be sweeter in taste. No. It is
Yeah.
going to have a bit of elaichi. It
But
is going to
I
have all of
think
that.
these MNCs and multinational food chains, but I think they follow this strategy of adding local flavors to their food, isn't it?
Country-wise.
Yeah, country-wise.
Country-wise.
Yeah.
They do that country-wise, and even on that front, what they would do, look at McDonald's for that matter. You go to a McDonald's in Amsterdam, at least 7 years, 8 years ago, you won't find veggie burger. I'm a vegetarian. So
Okay, okay.
You won't find veggie
Yeah,
burger.
okay.
You could take a couple of breads, add French fries to it, and eat. But don't expect to find a veggie burger.
burger.
But if you came to India, you cannot imagine opening a store in India without having something vegetarian in it. So they would make subtle changes like that at a country level,
Okay.
right? But how it's going to taste a particular dish, a standardized dish is going to taste like that. A pizza from say Pizza Hut is pretty much going to taste the same in London
Yeah.
and in India.
Yes.
What not from a the SOP perspective, everything is going to be
Will be same. Yeah, yeah.
There is also the taste of the water that goes into the food.
Yes.
There's not an exact science, but the taste of the place, the water goes into the food. It affects the food. The thali you would have in Chennai. No matter what you do, you won't find anywhere.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's something about the place. There's something about it in the water.
Obviously.
That adequate change, that geographical change, food will bring in itself. We do not have to go ahead manufacturing it.
Okay.
And we won't be able to do it. Or either I don't think people will be able to successfully reinvent an international dish everywhere they went.
Yeah.
You can change the spice level
Exactly.
a little bit, but you cannot just change it as per the density.
Okay.
Like Hyderabad is generally, you have a lot of people in Hyderabad who prefer spice.
Yes.
We've got that Telangana touch, we've got that Andhra touch,
Yes,
right? So
yeah,
we prefer spice. I cannot just go and add spice into Malai kofta, no? Just
Yes.
because people like it here.
True.
So what is an international dish is an international dish.
True. The consistency of food.
Mhm.
So, if at all you go back and see the people who are into food business for a long time, they are sustaining. Might be they are having their preferred dishes, their signature dishes, sort of thing. So, while coming to this, is it the same? The newcomers into the business, they can't maintain the same stability into the food. Is it the you think that's the main reason?
So a couple of things. See, most of the newcomers that I'm seeing these days, they aren't concentrating on creating a difference. Their idea is, what is the restaurant next door doing?
Okay.
How much are they selling it for? What is their quantity? What is their menu? What is their description?
Okay.
Just cut, copy, paste. No,
cut,
it's the
copy,
same
yeah.
Manchuria.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same Manchuria. Why should we invest time into it, right? That's why they're finding it difficult.
Okay.
You have to find what difference you are making into an industry.
Exactly.
There have been people who've been in this industry for 40, 45 years. And if I were to do the same thing, why would people come to me? They would have more trust there, right?
Yes.
40, 45 years of legacy.
True.
I have to build a name for myself. I need to bring onto the table what my brand can bring onto the table.
Yes.
Of course, you pick the good things. You understand from them. You don't just cut, copy, paste.
Yeah.
Plus, this is a very heavy manpower driven industry.
True.
You have a lot of dependency.
Yeah.
And you have dependency across the kitchen. You cannot just pick a particular individual from a particular restaurant. Say you pick a head chef from a XYZ restaurant. You cannot make a restaurant just on the basis of that head chef.
Yes.
He's not always going to stay with you. There are other departments that need to be taken care of. So that is where the youth today is going a little wrong, because they are more interested in just cut, copying, pasting, and thinking if they're successful, will be successful. If they're selling a paneer tikka for 450, we'll sell it for 450. No, you're a new brand.
Yeah.
Look at what location you're at.
Yeah.
Look at what quality you're providing. Look at what should be the right rate for your restaurant. So for example, I would never price my dish basis with somebody else's pricing.
Okay. When you start running to match somebody else, obviously you'll lose.
Yes, you would keep a certain margin on a dish and you won't sell that dish at a lower margin than that.
Yeah.
Now, if that margin means it is costlier than the restaurant next door, then so be it.
Yeah.
If you believe you have the better quality,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
putting better tasting food, so be it. Now, if it's costing less and you're still making the margin then you need to make as a business, then so be it.
Yeah.
The point is, how much are you taking home? The point is not what the standard rate in the city is.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
True.
And then there's also this funny thing about price it at whatever and then give discounts at whatever. Right? So just run your business basis aggregators. That's not how this business is run, unfortunately. This business is run by maintaining your pennies, by keeping your cost, by like, see, the price of the onion can go up till at a time it goes to 100 rupees per kg.
Yes.
What do I do at that point?
Yeah.
Do I say, sorry, no onions in the restaurant today, like most other restaurants do? No, I can't do that, right? I have to price, my pricing has to have certain, leeways here and there where I'm still able to bake in that.
Yeah.
Yet make sure my customer is not having a bad experience.
True.
If they deserve free onions, they get free onions. You have to price it for the year. You cannot price it for now.
Now, exactly.
And it's very dynamic. The food industry is very dynamic, and the hours. See, most people leave their office jobs in dreams that they're going to be 2 years later they're going to be sitting on some beach in Bahama and sipping pina coladas. The founder's life does not work that way.
That way.
Yeah, you were working 10 hours then, you'll be working 17, 18 hours now, because this is not your established business. Maybe after you've established a business, there might come a day. In my view, your second generation might be able to do that.
True.
But you as a founder are never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You have to give in long hours. So a restaurant say opens at 12 o'clock. The work begins at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
A restaurant closes at 11:30. By the time the restaurant actually shuts down after cleaning and everything, it's 2:33.
Yeah.
Right? So look at the amount of hours that
At
you have
least
to put in.
one generation has to put their heart into that particular.
And when you're starting up a new restaurant, you cannot just say, my manager will take care of things.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot run new brands on managers. So that glamour, people will have to understand that glamour is good to dream of, but in the beginning days, for the first 5, 7, 10 years at least, you will have to sacrifice your blood, sweat and tears. Only then that brand will become into something which might then decide to give you one day off.
Yeah. True.
For this generation, you're not going to get an holiday in the Bahamas anytime soon.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Hitesh. Parampara. So what do you think? Restaurant, so I see most of the time it's always full, and on weekends the people have to wait on the lines to get the food, and there have been a lot of discussion about the best vegetarian food in the city. So what do you think, what do you think the things that worked out?
So the things that worked out, again, I think it's God's grace, the love of our customers more than anything. And what we're proud of is that we've been disruptor of the industries.
Okay.
So when Parampara came onto the board in 2020, see, I was told you're stupid to start a vegetarian restaurant. Okay, and you're stupid enough.
Yes.
You're stupid enough to start it in Telangana, they said.
Yeah.
Because Google survey shows 99% of people in Telangana are meat eaters.
Yes.
This is the lowest, from a vegetarian population standpoint, this is the state with the lowest number across India.
Exactly.
So everybody was like, you're stupid. And then you're opening it up in Banjara Hills. They said, do it in Begum Bazaar. So I was like, my thought process was, if nobody is getting into it, it's a good chance, good place for me to get into it.
True.
And plus, how much ever I understand, my understanding of people, not everybody eats non-veg every day. There are certain people that don't prefer Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays.
Yeah.
Then there are people who have the issue with halal, right? So not every meat eater also prefers eating
non-veg
outside, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID had just happened.
Yes.
Right. So people were anyway scared.
Yeah.
So that seemed like a good timing to start.
Okay.
Right. And because the industry was so scared, it was like, no, you have a void in the market. Even if it's 1% population, show me a restaurant that is good enough for that 1% population. So we started with the concept that let's just target 1%.
Okay.
What bad is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? You're starting during the COVID, your rents are low, you're getting staff easily, which was never going to happen in a normal time frame and things like that. So we said, give it a start. And luckily it all, worked out. And we've been lucky enough to be able to maintain our quality. We've been lucky enough to able to maintain the same set of customers for a longer duration of time. I think I know customers who came to us when we had just opened that still come to us, right? So it's been nice that way, and it's just dumb luck and probably some good planning that got us here. But again, our food taste is, again, as I told you, we just try to concentrate on the dish, forget about the noise outside. We just look at the dish and say, how was this dish prepared? How is it supposed to taste?
It's supposed to taste.
If
Yes.
it's a paneer butter masala, it's a North Indian dish, it has to taste that way.
Yeah.
Just because I'm sitting in south of India, I'm not going to change
can't
it. Same
make
with
it
the palak
spicy.
paneer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, true.
So that's how we've taken it, one dish at a time.
You kept it as is.
Yeah, one dish at a time.
Yeah,
We've tried a lot of things. We've tried, at times we've tried, we did an Ugadi festival, I think last year, wherein we launched a 27 item Telugu menu, where we had like 9 Deva Prasadams for sweets
Okay.
from 9 different temples in Telangana and all of it. We've tried a lot of those stuff. We've tried pizzas at one point of time. We've tried South Indian tiffins at one point of time. We filtered it out. We figured what we were good at. We figured,
Kept it in your menu and other things. Yes. Okay.
and we figured where we were going to get easy workforce, because we have heavy dependency on workforce.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So we figured where we were comfortable finding workforce, where I was comfortable in saying, you don't want to do it, let me roll up my sleeves, I'll do it. Right. So we figured stuff like that and we stick to that stuff.
Yes.
So we never bought something into the menu and said, let's continue with it just because it's in a menu.
Yeah.
Right. It has, for us, it's always has to be appreciated by our customers. It has to be doable by us. We should be able to maintain the quality consistently, and it has to be profitable.
Okay.
Even if a dish sells throughout the day, and if it's not profitable, I won't keep it in the menu. My dharma as a businessman is to make money,
true.
right? So if I'm not making money, I'm not wasting time. It's
Okay.
simple as that. So that's how Parampara came this far.
Oh, yeah. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And Hitesh, and one more thing. I heard there is something called like menu engineering. There is a science behind it. And have you figured out that for your restaurant? Of course, vegetarian is your first thing and you're very much sure about it and you want to try the niche of that market, that 1%. That's fine. And later on that. So we have like this, as I earlier said, we do have different taste buds if in a cosmopolitan city. So it's not like the most of the people eat dosas in the morning, idlis in the morning, and also the place where your restaurant stays. And there's a lot of other permutation combinations that should work for you. So what's your basic idea in when you started working on your menu?
So when I started on the menu, see, we've made a lot of errors. We've learned through our errors. I sometimes laugh when I look at the first menu which I had created. Right? I laugh at it. I'm like, what did I even create? Right? But then you spend a little time in the business, you understand how your menu should be priced. You understand what should go in your menu, what should not go in your menu. You understand what stuff should be marked in the menu so that your waiters don't waste time explaining.
What fits for you? You have to decide what fits for your
What
place.
fits for you, what goes into that menu, what the pricing should be. As I said, pricing is very important. Just what happens in most of the restaurants is the dish that sells the most is the costliest. That's not how it works. The dish that sells the most might not be the costliest because you're still making a certain amount of margin on it. But the costliest dish might be costliest because it's taking you a lot of time, effort, and money to make that dish. Then you add margin to it.
Yes.
Right? Because it has to make sense to the consumer.
Exactly.
Just because something is famous, you cost more, I think that's unfair to the customers. So that, when I make a menu, I make sure that firstly I have the dishes that I need to put in. Then I speak to my chefs on how they are preparing that. I write down the description of that this is how it is going to be prepared. Then once we taste it, we figure out, should this be spicy? Should this be non-spicy? Then you add the spice level to it. Then you figure out, can you make this in Jain? Can you not make this in Jain? If you can make this in Jain, then you add the Jain symbol to it. Then you figure out how much did it cost you?
Okay.
And how much is the market selling it for? Now to match it to the market levels, to not seem too expensive or too cheap for that matter.
Exactly.
How many grams of this can go to the customer?
Yes.
Will this gram, say for 450 grams, will this suffice 2 or 3? Should we price it at 450 or should we price it at 500? Just give a little more quantity because it's not making sense to it. You design all that for one single dish and you have 200 dishes in the menu.
Yeah.
That's how a menu is made, right? And then you also try and make sure you list out certain items in the menu, certain procedures in the menu, which saves your waiters time. So a menu takes about 3 to 4 months if
Okay.
you're spending time on it to revamp and redesign.
Yes.
And most people, what they do is just when they're starting a restaurant, pick up the menu from this restaurant, let's just cut, copy,
Yeah,
paste.
yeah.
I mean,
What's
this-
working out in that area, you'll just pick that menu.
Yeah,
And
I mean, this person is pouring an elaichi into that. You're not doing it. Try and understand what he or she
Yeah.
has written and why. Because what you've written absolutely has to go to the customer like that. And that's what we tell our customers as well, that it has to come as per our description. If it's not as per our description, let us know, we'll change it. So what is sweet, we try and mention it's going to be a little sweet. What is spicy, we try and mention that. So a menu has to give you the insight into the restaurant's soul. It has to give you clarity. This is what I'm ordering. This is how much I'm going to get. It is going to be enough for these many people. This is how likely it is going to taste.
Got it.
And
yeah.
we also try and list out the ingredients, the major set of ingredients, so that if there are any allergic
Yeah.
problems, people are able to figure out. That we design our menus that way.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
was our initial menu design that way? No. I think it was very funny. And in the first year, I think I changed my menu 8 or 10 times.
No, okay. Yeah.
It's an art, and because we don't come from a restaurant background or anything, we took our time learning it. But I'm happy we learned it.
Okay. And coming back to the restaurant dynamics that are changing, rapidly changing, mostly after COVID. So probably like it must be like 2 years or something that I went to a restaurant, and unless I go to a holiday, we never go to restaurants and sit there and have food, and for sure it's not so many people's thing. So how have you or like countering that? So is that not like in dining restaurant business ruining out?
So, see, the in dining restaurant business to a large extent has become very, very challenging at this point. But we had seen this coming in 2022.
Okay.
And tell you why. Because there was a big uplift in the restaurant industry post COVID. So people hadn't eaten outside for a long time. Everybody wanted to eat outside. There were fights to get a table at that point of time, right? A lot of new restaurants also came in at that point of time.
Exactly.
We also came in, right? We are nothing but a COVID-born restaurant.
Yeah.
And that also resulted in a lot of people feeling that they can open restaurants as well.
Okay.
What happened over the next 1.5 years was there was a flurry of new restaurants in the town,
Okay.
especially vegetarian
Yes.
restaurants. There was a flurry of new restaurants. And as we were talking about the dynamics, let's stick to vegetarian at this point of time. So there's 1% vegetarian in Telangana. They are not reproducing any faster for them to become 2% anytime soon.
For sure.
They're at 1.1% maybe.
Yeah.
That 1% had 20 vegetarian restaurants.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Now they suddenly have 100.
Okay.
Right? So who's going to make profits? Because people have so many options now.
Yes.
Right? So when you add in too much, when there is too much supply, but not as much demand, the industry is bound to suffer.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, because most of these people are newcomers, firstly, they make mistakes, they copy menu, they don't understand how the business is run. Then they fall into the aggregator trap of give discounts, get customers. Then they
Yes.
realize, okay, we're not even making money.
over a
We're
period
just
of time.
rotating
Yeah,
this thing. Our loans are piling up.
Yeah.
Then what happens? The final attempt happens. During that final attempt, discounts will further steepen up. Staff will be further more happy because they're unhappy because their salaries are not being paid on time. So the quality further goes down.
Yes.
But because discounts are steep and advertisement at the last attempt is is, a full-fledged advertisement.
Exactly.
They again suck
It's like
in.
a last try
Ah.
to work it out.
Yes, they again suck in some customers from other
Yeah.
restaurants. Now, the customer cycle changes because you will go to a restaurant, say, once a month. You miss a particular restaurant in that month, you go the following month.
Yes.
New restaurant you want to try every month, 3-4 months are gone. This fellow who's doing good is waiting for you while you make all those mistakes and come back
Options
to this
coming by.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Right? And in between all this drama that is happening,
Yeah.
a lot of restaurants are then starting to shut down. So it is obviously going to get far more worse before it gets any better, because when you have too much supply in the market,
Yes.
then filtering will be needed. And let's forget the revenue point of it. Look what has happened over the last 6 to 8 months in terms of FSI checks.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you think so many restaurants were getting it so wrong?
Even the top-notch restaurants.
Top-notch restaurants as
Yeah.
well. Majorly because people did not know how a restaurant is supposed to be run, but everybody wanted to open a restaurant. Right? So, and because then those restaurants are not profitable, investing in keeping up the hygiene did not seem right to them.
Yes.
So that's again, I think it's the beginning of the end. Good times are going to come, in my view.
Okay.
I think it takes 6-9 months, the big filter should happen.
Yeah.
It should separate the
You
men
think
from
the
the
phase
boys.
is over?
Last stage.
Oh, you're saying something. Just come again?
I said it should separate the men from the boys.
Men from the boys filtering. Wow, that's such a nice phrase,
So
actually.
maybe give it 6, 7, 8 months, and
Okay.
whoever is then left out, whatever your restaurants are then left out, they're going to stay because they've seen the goods, the bads. You've done all the experiment you wanted to do. Now you know where to eat,
Where
what
to
not
eat.
to eat. See, one cannot filter a place where they have to eat basis the discount they are going to get or the jhumar they are going to see.
Yes.
Because the food on your plate is what you're going to consume. It is directly getting into your body. So your priority has to be the quality of the food, the business of the place. If a restaurant is busy, how are they going to have leftover or stale food to serve?
True. Yeah.
Logic, common sense 101. If a restaurant is not busy, they're giving you 70% discount, 80% discount, or whatever discount. How fresh is it going to be? It's sometimes I think we just need to apply our common sense. And this happens with every industry, I think.
The same thing of cycle shutting down for regular restaurants and the in-dining places. Like just how vegetarian worked for you, the same thing worked out for your place actually, Parampara.
Yes, I think again, see, just a cycle coming to a closure.
Okay. You think the same thing at one place worked out? So once you have a brand, in food industry at least. So forget about the Chili's, the Subways and food outlets based on particular food. Forget about it. And how about the Indian chain restaurant hotels? So something like Parampara. So you think some aesthetics worked out at some place because of so many cultural this thing and all? You think the same thing will apply at the other places?
So depends on the brand. Like for example, what are you portraying from your brand? What is your brand story? Let's say Parampara speaks tradition. I cannot go to a particular city and then have everything modern and have the name Parampara. I need to go with the traditional offset. I will stick to my Indian cuisines when it comes to Parampara. But say as a company, do you want to stick to the same thing or do you want to bring in new brands into the company? So I think Indian restaurants, the restaurants that are there right now, need to probably think of it from an hospitality sector point of view. See, this is a very broken down sector.
Yes, true.
Right?
Very true.
There is no single player that is doing end to end. There is a lot in here. There are a lot of items we get from the market. There are a lot of moving vendor parts that we have. There are a lot of different kind of raw materials that we get.
Yes.
If I were so for me as a company, I think we are an hospitality company and not just a restaurant. Now, what comes in a restaurant is a restaurant, a banquet, a hotel, a cafe, supplies that go into all of these things, manpower that goes into all of these things. The raw material have a B2B market and a B2C market. That to me is a complete company. So we as a company would be concentrating more on that. Like in Banjara Hills, we're bringing up a new brand. In the same building as we are on the 4th floor, we're coming up with a new brand called Pradikshana by Parampara.
Okay.
It is going to have rotating tables, not a rotating restaurant, but rotating tables. And we're going to be having a different concept of food there. It is
Okay.
going
The
to
menu
have,
is not same.
the menu is not same.
Okay.
But will I change? If I were serving a kadai paneer there, will it be different than Parampara? No, I cannot do that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Kadai
yeah.
paneer is going to taste like kadai
Okay.
paneer. The way it will be presented,
Yes.
the way it will come onto your table, all those things will change.
Yeah.
So we're trying something new there. Now, if we were to go to a different city, if we went as Parampara, and we have some expansion plans across south of India, but if we go as Parampara, we will stick to the basics of Parampara, what got Parampara successful here. And if we have to do something else, then we'll come up with a different brand.
Okay. So, and also, I've been lately seeing so many brands, so which are already successful in the outside market, and now they're going to the airports and stuff. And so, I don't know how it works. Once a brand is successful here, obviously you can see in the list of the airports actually. So, but the taste won't remain the same. So why the hoteliers are not so much serious about the airport stuff and all? So because is it just the expensive of the place, or why it's going wrong actually? So you see so many brands failed it there as well actually.
So first, again, see, it also comes down to the founder, right? I'll just stick to myself, right? You tell me revenue sharing, I'm not interested. Because I'm saying I'm earning 100 rupees. You take your rent, don't take a piece out of my 100 rupees.
Okay.
Everybody has a mindset. My mindset, revenue sharing, I'm out of there. So for me, that's the problem. Now the revenue sharing is also at very higher ends. So we've had some offers previously, and the revenue sharing is at very higher ends. Then again, the place constraint. So for me as a restaurant, I need place to play with. I cannot work with a small kitchen.
And of course, and there comes branding again. That will work out on the other places, other outlets.
And plus, see, also understand that the restaurant industry, the staff, the changes in the staff, our attrition rates, for us, 30-40% is good.
Okay.
Right? It's not bad, it's good.
It's good.
Right? So for us to maintain, people who are going to have a security clearance all the time, because they're working in an airport and all that, and finding people to be replaced on a constant basis, it's a task in itself.
Yes.
Right? So for me, as for my brand at this point of time, it's like, do I need that kind of an headache? Is it needed? Because I'm not product based. See, I don't have a bakery where I manufacture certain stuff which has an expiry date. I put it, there's a tagging, I put it there, I bring back it does not work like that. We are in restaurant, we have to be on the go. We don't know what we are going to be doing today. Right? So for us, it does not make sense. And with the staff changes and everything, I think that's where brands are finding it very difficult to maintaining quality for the place. Then again, there's only, if you're not making enough money, me personally, if I'm not making enough money, there's only so much of my concentration space I'm going to put there.
True. There's no point. So well, coming back to in dining market, so what do you think in next 5 years it would be like? So because of the Swiggy, Zomato, aggregator things, or like they're like downfall now we are seeing. Of course, the orders and the culture has been increasing a lot, but how do you see the industry in next 5 years, the aggregator industry and in dining spaces? How do you think it's going to change?
So from an aggregator industry standpoint, let me not comment. Okay. I mean, they've been in the market for a long time. Yes, I mean, they've not made any profits, but that's how certain businesses run. So no comments there. But aggregators then again work on two factors, right? They have customers on both ends. The person ordering through the aggregator is a customer. The person delivering through the aggregator is also a customer, because you're paying a commission, I am paying a commission.
Okay.
Right? And the most successful societies, the most profitable societies always cut the middleman.
Yes. True.
Right? So if I grew my brand enough, say if I had an India nationwide presence, I'd also have an in-house delivery, which some big brands are currently doing. I think McDonald's does it, Domino's does it, I think, right? Because why would you pay somebody a 32-33% commission?
Yes.
Right? You're not making the food or anything like that. You don't even take responsibility if the food is lost or anything like that, right? So how do I see that market? And I don't know why that market exists to begin with. It shouldn't exist in my view. Now in terms
That's
of
a whole different story.
that's a whole different story. Well, restaurators who've been in the market for 20-25 years, lack for a better term, are ancestors in the restaurant industry, and why did that happen?
Yes.
Right? We just went in the flow. In terms of the restaurant industry, I think the good times are going to be in about 4 or 5 years. The big filtering will happen. Those who stay, those who are left out would have seen it all with the FSI inspections and with people understanding how important hygienes are, how they should choose their restaurants. People are going to be mindful of good brands.
Exactly.
People are going to visit good brands because they believe in them.
Handful of good brands are going to stay. At least for the in-dine experience people out for.
And I also think, see, new blood is coming to the restaurant industry. Even with restaurants that have been here a while, the younger generations are taking over. Right? So, and there's a lot of space in the restaurant industry for people to make it big. If they have that kind of a thought process, and if they think they can make it big within, see, again, make it big has its own this thing. Some might say having 100 restaurants in one city is making it big.
Yes.
I might say having one restaurant in 100 cities is making it big.
Okay. That's your strategy.
That's my strategy, right? So can you make it big? Can you make it into an industry versus a particular restaurant? You can always start as a restaurant. But can you turn it into an industry?
So how much, like in calculation of the valuation of in the food business, how many times it is actually?
10x is what basic PE is taken. DCF method is taken as 10x. There are restaurants, I think there is one restaurant, a couple of restaurants that are listed in the market that are ranging higher than 10 PE. But then again, once you go to the primary market, the calculation changes. But in the private placement market, in the valuations market, it has to be 10x. Founders, I've seen founders selling their companies at lower than that, which is very funny, but it has to be 10x.
What are the brands that went into stock market actually with that numbers? Do you name some?
I just know of Barbecue Nation, which got listed closer to 2020. I don't remember the stock price right now. Should be they listed very high. They've come down now. They've come down now, but the PE is definitely more than 10. The PE is definitely more than 10. The 10x calculation is what I'm telling you is just basis the DCF method. So if I were to do a valuation of a particular, if I were to do a valuation of my company, I would just do a DCF because that is widely acceptable and that gets you good figures from a founder perspective as well. And that takes 10x, bare minimum 10x.
So you think some Indian food brand, so that can make like an international brand. You think that there is possibility because there is everything of this Indian thing going everywhere in the world now. So you think the Indian food business have that capability of doing that?
Of course, of course. If you can run your restaurants in India, you can run your restaurants anywhere in the world. This is a very difficult market to stay in, for lack of a better term. You are also in a very price sensitive environment when you're running your restaurants in India. But if you were to run the same restaurant in Europe, you at least won't have the price constraints for that matter. So Indian companies can make it big. We have the workforce to make it big, and we have the brains as well in the industry that can make it big. Again, as I told you, for the last 20 years, I have seen people calling themselves, we made it big by opening 100 brands in one city. Correct? If you were to do that in 100 cities, 10-20% cost here and there, you would still be shelling the similar amount of money. Because say if you were to open in Hyderabad, how far is Hyderabad from let's say Lucknow,
Yeah.
right? You would typically be doing the same amount
Same
of
amount of-
OPEX,
yes,
right?
yes.
So why do you want to do it at a distance of 4 kilometers?
Yes.
Yes, one problem is manpower and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do you manage it well and all of it. But in my experience, after multiple outlets, you still can only manage it that much
The same-
in the same
the
city.
same bandwidth you need.
Yeah, yes, and but then if you were to use automation, if you which is now available, if you
Yes.
were to use tools, if you were to hold people accountable,
Yeah.
then why not?
Yes.
Right? See, everything started small. Even Reliance started small.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
You just have to dream it that way, and I believe over the next 5 to 10 years, you're definitely going to see some restaurant brands from India making it at a global stage.
Wow.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And coming back, some important question I was supposed to ask. How about what do you want to say about this? You're mentioning the 100 brands opening in one place, and particularly this South Indian meal mania that's going around the globe. Actually, the dosa and idli, and of course there are a lot of attributes to that. So it's easy to make and easy to eat, and people become so much health conscious. These foods have more protein basically and handy to eat, and wherever there are a lot of advantages to the South Indian food
Correct.
basically.
Correct.
So, what do you think the new restaurant phase that is coming, the tiffin centers we say, like, so what do you think this era will gonna be like in next 1 year or 2 years? It's like mania now. So everywhere, as you're telling, like everywhere here or there, 4 to 5 places are opening in one particular place actually. So,
See, again, we have trends in the restaurant industry.
yes.
We have trends in the eating out industry.
Yeah.
Our consumers sometimes decide to eat a certain thing for a period of 1 year. They have a liking towards it.
Yeah.
What most restaurants do is once the consumer picks a liking towards it, they start making it.
Okay.
But what we have to understand is consumers' mind can change.
Yes. Yes.
Your business cannot change in a year.
Yeah.
So you have to make, if I were to pick a product, I would pick a product that would be for today, tomorrow and day after. I don't want to pick a trend-based product.
Okay.
Or not build a business basis the trend-based
Trend
product.
based on the trend. Yeah.
Now when you talk about dosa and idli, they've been here for thousands of years.
Yeah.
They're going to be here for thousands of years.
Yes,
They've
yes.
been liked by everybody. They will continue to be liked by everybody. I like them too.
Yeah.
But again, heavily disoriented market. Your mummy or grandmummy can make it better than what I would do in a restaurant.
Yes. Yes.
There are food vendors outside, there are thelawalas outside
Exactly.
who are making it chatak, who are adding butter, who are adding cheese, who are adding everything onto that dosa and giving it to you.
Yes.
Which you're getting it for 60-70 rupees.
Yes.
Then I am sitting in a restaurant and I am saying, see, I have an AC, I have a server, I have this, I have that. Let me charge you 200 rupees for that dosa.
Yes.
You are going to say, you're charging me more. I have my problems and
Yeah,
limitations.
yeah.
So why would I get into it? Right? I would get into something where you and I don't have a conversation around costing.
Yes.
Right? So for me, that's why that market is sort of a trend at this point. When it comes to restaurants, it's sort of a trend. Prior to this dosa idli trend, there was another trend in the Hyderabad food industry. If you see, that was South Indian thali.
Yeah, true.
Every restaurant was selling a South Indian thali.
Okay.
We used to do South Indian thali when we started the restaurant. We had a South Indian thali.
Okay.
We closed it 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
We closed it because everybody was selling it.
Okay.
That-
It's not like it's not going in your restaurant. It's just
I have people walking in till today asking for the South Indian thali. But the point is, because everybody is selling it and because people aren't getting it right, they're adding everything into the South Indian thali.
Okay.
They're adding stuff that shouldn't be in a South Indian thali. I don't want to keep a thali, then have a conversation around it. Okay, did you see it there? I don't want to do it. I'm like, let them all finish up. Then if we have to relaunch it, we'll relaunch it. So these trends keep coming and going.
Yeah.
You know, the thing with South Indian thalis was I had seen some chart places having South Indian thali at a point. It had become so widely accepted across Hyderabad. But if you were to ask people, what are you giving in your South Indian thali? You would find funny things in the South Indian thali, right? So that market was becoming very, very disrupted.
Yes.
Similarly, I think they're going to do to the dosa idli market, and then sanity will prevail, and then those that stick to it will stick to it. And when it comes to South Indian food, I think again, see from an Hyderabad standpoint, right?
Okay.
South Indian food is never going to go out of fashion for us.
Yes.
Because if whether you are a Telugu or not,
Yes.
if you've been brought up in Hyderabad,
Yeah.
that South
You
Indian
got
food
used
is
to
in
the
your blood. And
True.
you will like it. You will like that allam chutney, you will like that tomato chutney, you
Yes.
want that rasam. That will go well. It
Yes.
is with us, but we also have a lot of options for it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's why I won't get into, me personally, I won't be too keen to get into that market. If I have to probably at some point get into it, I'll probably have a brand that does different kind of thalis, not just one thali.
Yeah. Hitesh, actually, this should be my first question. Actually, so you went to UK to do your masters, and you came back, and you're sure about you want to start a restaurant business, or it just happened that you've been into the business?
No. So it's a longer story than that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I went to London after my 12th. I
Okay.
did my grads and undergrads, and
Undergrad there in
then I came back. So when I left, I was 17.
Okay.
When I came back, I was 21. So I came back at a state where people were leaving. My friends were leaving India.
Okay, yes,
That's when I came back.
Yeah.
And that allowed me a lot of leniency to make a lot of mistakes. So when I came back, I didn't actually start a restaurant. I worked with Dell.
Okay.
I was, into accounts, receivables and finance and all of it with Dell. I worked with Dell for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
I started as an associate. I by the time I quit, I think I was a senior manager, and then I came into the restaurant industry.
Okay.
Now, how did restaurant industry happen? Like I told you, everybody has a dream. I had a dream
Okay.
to have a restaurant by the water.
Yeah.
Right, so Necklace Road was supposed to be my place where I will start a restaurant after my retirement.
Okay.
But then COVID happened,
Yeah,
and everything changed.
Okay.
And the valuations, as I told you, were very, very attractive for me to miss out. After working in finance, you'd understand that. See, whenever you start a restaurant, probably for 6 months it's not going to run, but your costs are never going to be so low as they were during the COVID time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So honestly, it started as a side business, as an experiment.
Okay.
Then the second wave happened, which I did not calculate.
Okay.
So during that time is when I said to myself, let me put down my papers. What's the worst that can happen? I'll find myself a new job somewhere.
Okay.
Oh,
that's quite an interesting story.
It's not so difficult. So I put down my papers during the second lockdown, and I said, I'll just concentrate on my business. And post the second lockdown, we never looked back. So that's how it happened. But it did not start as something which was looked at by me as mainstream. Life happens. Sometimes just life takes its way.
On course.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. That's wonderful to hear, Hitesh. And also I got to understand so many things about the restaurant business basically. So because as you said, it's a very fancy business, but it's really again tricky to understand the business. Thank you for joining us. And I hope, as we discussed, Parampara is going to be one of the brand which we think that's going to make global impact, as you're already planning for that. And I think you're already attracting investors for your brand to establish in different other places.
Yeah.
All the very best
Thank
to you for that.
Thank you.
Hitesh.
Yeah, we're
Thank
working
you.
towards
Thanks.
it.
Thanks
you.
for joining. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For more videos like this, subscribe Big TV channel.